Excellent. I love a good adventure.
We're taking a deep dive into the career of Imranul Hakanor. And our guide for this journey is his resume.
Okay, sounds interesting.
Now, before you think, oh no, not another resume breakdown,
Yeah.
we're not just looking at what he did.
Right.
We're trying to unearth those hidden stories, those aha moments that can maybe spark some inspiration.
I like it.
For anyone, no matter where you are in your own career journey.
Because everyone's got a story, right?
Exactly.
So what's special about this resume then? What's caught your eye?
Well, just to start, I mean, Imranul, he didn't just read about his field. He dove right in with some seriously cool hands-on projects.
Oh, really? Like what?
Okay, we're talking tackling things like shale stabilization in the lab. Then pivoting to building an actual working model of a drilling rig.
No kidding. That's a big jump.
Right. It makes you wonder, was there a moment when he was like, wait a minute, this whole drilling thing, this is really speaking to me?
You know, it's amazing how those early experiences, even in a field that's, as technical as petroleum engineering, how those can kind of foreshadow, plant the seeds for your interests down the road.
It's like that light bulb moment.
Exactly. It all clicks.
Because building a drilling rig model, that's not just about, memorizing stuff from a textbook.
Right. It's the application.
You're problem solving, you're thinking spatially, understanding how all the mechanics fit together. That experience, I bet, gave him a real advantage later on.
Oh, I'm sure. And then on top of that, he does this summer program at the University of Houston.
Oh, nice. International experience always looks good, even if it's just for a short while.
Right. It's like they say, travel broadens the mind.
100%. You get a new perspective. And speaking of broadening horizons, let's fast forward a bit to his time at ONGC, the Oil and Natural Gas Corporation of India.
Okay.
He starts out as an assistant drilling supervisor, and you see this steady climb
Yeah, classic career progression.
to drilling supervisor and engineer. So we see the titles change, but I'm curious, in a field like drilling, what does that actually look like day to day?
Oh, it's easy to just kind of skim over those titles, but honestly, in this kind of field, that climb, that's a huge EE increase in responsibility.
Absolutely, the pressure's on.
You're talking managing bigger and bigger teams, making decisions that have a real impact on, safety, efficiency, and probably, let's be honest, a whole lot of logistics on top of that.
Yeah, the high stakes environment.
And it's not just about being a technical whiz either, right? Did you see he received that National Safety Week award?
Oh, yeah.
That tells you something about his leadership, communication, building a culture where safety is paramount. That's huge.
That's a really good point. It's one thing to understand the technical stuff, but to get everyone on board with safety, that's a whole other ballgame.
Exactly.
And on top of that, he spearheaded this initiative to cut down rig movement time by 25%.
Now that's impressive.
That kind of efficiency gain, that probably made him pretty popular with the higher-ups.
Oh, I bet. Reducing downtime, optimizing processes, those are the things that really make a difference. And you can measure the impact, which is always a plus.
Yeah, hard to argue with results like that.
Exactly. Plus, during all this, he's also getting really solid experience with industry standard software, things like Compass and WellPlan. These are tools that are crucial for, everything from, planning the wells to actually optimizing the drilling process itself.
He's building a really solid foundation.
He is. These experiences, they were coming.
Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. He makes a move to Decimal Intelligence.
Decimal Intelligence, what do they do?
They're a company that's really at the forefront of these digital solutions in oil and gas.
Ah, okay. Getting ahead of the curve.
Exactly. And he steps into the role of drilling subject matter expert. And suddenly we're seeing all these keywords popping up on his resume. Things like digitalization. It's like he could sense this shift happening in the industry.
And decided to ride that wave.
Precisely. And it's not just about, understanding how to use the technology, right? It's about knowing how to actually apply it effectively out there in the real world, which leads us to something that really jumped out at me on his resume. He led the development of a real-time predictive analytics product.
Wow.
And I have to admit, that's getting a little outside my area of expertise, but
It's impressive, that's for sure.
yeah, it sounds pretty amazing. What exactly does that even entail?
So imagine this. Instead of reacting to problems like after they happen, right? You've got this system that's constantly analyzing data, like from sensors, drilling parameters, even things like weather patterns, to try and predict potential issues before they even become problems.
That's wild.
We're talking about preventing downtime, making drilling more efficient, maybe even avoiding, those really costly mistakes that can happen. And all of this in real time.
That's incredible.
It's next level stuff. It takes a deep understanding of how drilling works, obviously, but also all those nuances of data science.
So he's not just crunching numbers. He's taking all that data and turning it into like actionable insights, something people can actually use on the ground.
100%, yeah. It's a unique skill set, for sure.
Definitely. And he doesn't stop there. Then he makes a move to SLB.
SLB, okay.
A big global company, a real powerhouse in energy technology. And he takes on this role of digital drilling engineer, which is interesting in and of itself. But then we see even more clues about where things are headed in the world of drilling. We're seeing automation, RCS integration, digital solutions all over his resume.
It's like he walked right into the future of the field.
He really did.
And it's a feature that's unfolding right now, right in front of us. And all those terms you just mentioned, those aren't just, buzzwords.
Right.
They represent a fundamental shift in how drilling operations are being done.
So unpack that a little bit. Like, what are we actually talking about here?
Okay, so let's start with automation in drilling. This means using technology to handle those tasks that were traditionally done by, human hands.
Okay.
And often it can be done with greater precision and, importantly, greater safety.
Right. Makes sense.
You think about things like robotic drilling systems that can operate in these, hazardous environments, dangerous places, and that reduces the risk to people, which is always a good thing.
Absolutely. What about RCS integration? That one's a little bit of a mystery to me.
Yeah, so RCS, that stands for Rotary Steerable Systems. Basically, it allows for more control, more accuracy when you're drilling these really complex wells.
Okay, so we're talking about making things more efficient, improving safety, and really pushing the limits of what's possible in drilling.
Exactly. It's pretty remarkable when you think about it.
It is. But what about, the human element in all of this? With all this talk about automation and digital solutions taking over, what happens to the people who are actually, working on the rig floor?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
And it seems like, from his experience, Imranul is very aware of that.
Oh, really?
Remember how we talked about the importance of those soft skills, things like leadership, communication?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, those become even more crucial in a world where technology is playing a bigger and bigger role.
I can see that.
And if you look at his time at SLB, he wasn't just, implementing new technology and that's it. He was also leading the training for the crew on the rig site.
Oh, wow.
Making sure they understood how to use and maintain these really complex systems.
So it's about bringing everyone along on the journey.
Yes.
Making sure that they're not just, passively along for the ride, but active participants. And that's not just about training, right? It's about communication, building that trust, making sure that any concerns they have are addressed.
You've got it. Those soft skills, they're what hold it all together.
They're the glue.
Right. And honestly, I think it says a lot about him as a leader that he made that such a priority.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, technology is a tool.
Right.
And how successful it is really depends on the people who are actually using it.
That's a great point.
And speaking of tools, can we talk about his skills for a second?
Oh, yeah, please.
His resume, it's like a masterclass in both, those hard technical skills, but also the soft skills that are so important.
He's got the whole package.
He does. You've got those industry standard software programs we were talking about, like Compass and WellPlan.
Yeah, check.
Deep knowledge of directional drilling, casing design, laner hanger completions, and it just keeps going.
Yeah, it's pretty extensive.
And then you layer on top of that project management skills, HSE compliance, being able to make those data visualizations that are actually impactful.
Right.
Come on, that's impressive.
It is.
It seems like he gets that in today's world, you really need both, right? You need that deep specialized knowledge, but also a wide range of skills to really thrive.
He'd be adaptable, right?
Exactly. And that's the hallmark of someone who's not afraid to learn, to adapt, to grow. The energy sector is always changing. It's evolving constantly.
Definitely. It seems like, if anything, the pace of change is only accelerating.
It is. And his career path shows a real commitment to staying ahead of that curve.
Absolutely. So he's clearly got the skills and experience, but what I find truly fascinating, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, is that his desire to learn, to gain new knowledge, it extends way beyond just oil and gas.
Yeah, and it's not just a passing interest either, right?
Oh.
There's this whole other side to his story, and it really struck me. It's in that causes section on his resume.
Oh, right. I think I remember seeing that. What's he involved with? It mentions this passion he has for bringing quality education to rural areas.
Wow, that's amazing.
He even started a free primary school. It's like he looked around and saw this need and thought, okay, what can I do? How can I use my skills, my resources to actually make a difference?
That's incredible. You know, that's the mark of a true leader, someone who understands that success isn't just about, climbing that ladder and getting ahead. It's about taking those talents, those resources, and using them to give back, to contribute to something bigger. And what's really striking to me is how much this commitment to education actually aligns with his whole professional journey.
I see what you mean. On the surface, yeah, they might seem totally unrelated, drilling for oil and gas.
Yeah.
And then you've got education in these rural communities.
Totally different worlds, right?
Right. But when you stop and think about it, both of them require that same kind of innovative spirit, that problem-solving mindset.
They both require dedication too, right? Like a real drive to build something better for the future.
Absolutely.
And maybe there's even a deeper connection. Think about all the technological skills, the resources that he's built up through his work in oil and gas. Could those be used to create totally new educational tools or platforms?
That's an amazing thought.
Especially in areas where access to traditional learning, it might be limited.
It's like his passion for education could spark this whole other wave of innovation, bridging that digital divide, giving these communities the power that comes with knowledge, with access.
It makes you wonder what other connections are out there just waiting to be discovered. When we bring our whole selves to our work, our passions, our values.
It's a powerful reminder that a fulfilling career, it's not just about checking those boxes, climbing that ladder.
It's about finding those points where everything intersects, where your values, your passions, your work, it all comes together.
Exactly. So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the career of Imran al-Haq Noor, are there any final takeaways, any parting words of wisdom for our listeners out there, no matter what field they're in or where they are in their own journey?
I think the biggest one has to be never stop learning. The world is changing so fast, it's incredible.
It's mind-blowing.
And those who can adapt, who stay curious, who are hungry to learn new things, those are the ones who will thrive.
Don't be afraid to step outside that comfort zone either.
100%. Imranul's career is proof that embracing new technologies, exploring those different roles, constantly pushing yourself, that's where the magic happens.
Couldn't agree more.
And lastly, I think it's important to remember your career, it's not just a job, it's an expression of who you are, what you believe in. So find those ways to align your work with your passions, with what you value, and you'll unlock a level of fulfillment that goes way beyond titles and paychecks.
Those are wise words to end on. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. It's been a real pleasure exploring this fascinating career path with you.
The pleasure was all mine, honestly. Until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.